We'll now listen to a welcome address by Herr Döring, the principal of the Innerstädtisches Gymnasium from the school. Herr Döring, you have the floor.
Mr. Secretary General, Mr. President, honorable chairs and delegates, dear colleagues and guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. After 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, it really is a great pleasure for me to welcome you to the 5th MUN conference here in Rostock 2012. At that moment, you were sitting in the central hall of the Inner Town Grammar School. Geographically spoken, a quite precise name because we are situated in the center, in the very heart of Rostock. So from this heart and from my heart, let me give to all of you a warm and cordial welcome. We are glad to welcome 158 participants coming from 24 countries, different countries of course. And these countries are Chechnya, Afghanistan, Italy, Australia, Germany, Sweden, Poland, Jordany, the Netherlands, Russia, Bulgaria, Switzerland, America, Luxembourg, UK, Australia, Vietnam, Ukraine, France, Bhutan, New Zealand, Romania, Canada, and last but not least, Thailand. Finally, we have 139 delegates representing 6 international and 7 domestic, which means German schools. These schools are Pork Gymnasium from Prague, Think Global School from San Francisco, Ashram College from Alphen aan de Rijn, I suppose the Netherlands, the Lyceum of Szczecin, Poland, the Institute Montana coming from Zug in Switzerland, and the Rossall School from Fleetwood in UK. Well, I'm always tempted to say Fleetwood Mac, but they only come from Fleetwood in UK. And the German schools coming from Rostock and Berlin. First of all, the JFK school from Berlin. We have the CGD Rostock, CJD from Rostock, Don Bosco School from Rostock, the Otto Hahn Gymnasium. There are lots of Otto Hahn Gymnasiums, so I suppose our friends coming from Geesthacht, and the Käthe Kollwitz Gymnasium from Rostock, the Bovin School, and I was told the Gymnasium Fridericianum from Bad Dobran is present too. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a conference which I'm always astonished on what technical level it's organized. It's a conference of a dimension and shape that never would have come true without help, support, and interested attendance. We are honored by the presence of our special guests. We are very glad that after 2008, and she told me she had been there 2010 perhaps, when she attended our first BALMUN conference, that the President of the Parliament of Mecklenburg-Western Pomerania, Mrs. Sylvia Brettschneider, honors the opening ceremony by her presence today. So will you please welcome Mrs. Sylvia Brettschneider. As the Vice President of the Urban City Council, she represents today the Hanseatic city of Rostock. Please give a warm welcome to Mrs. Dr. Ingrid Bacher. We are grateful that the desk officer for the German United Nations Regional Information Center had agreed to give a substantial input to your conference by his keynote speech. Please welcome Mr. Arne Molfenter. And last but not least, we are glad to have a representative of the Konrad Adenauer Stiftung with us today. Welcome, Mrs. Bremer. Welcome. Honorable delegates, as the year before, Franziska Weiss and Oliver Hartwig, this year's conference managers and last year's conference managers, briefed me a few weeks ago about BALMUN 2012. But this time, instead of a complete paper, as they did last year, they presented only a short handout, I think in order to help me in my preparation for this opening address. Thank you, Franziska and Oliver, well done. First, without a basic text, I was inhibited from closely referring to this text, or as we say in modern times, copy and paste, which is in these days a risky activity, and it is so for good reason. And second, I got the message, Franziska and Oliver, please don't bother us with a lesson of a social sciences teacher. What I read on this excellent BALMUN homepage and what I heard and saw these days makes me absolutely confident that the BALMUN conference is well prepared and does not need a more or less boring lecture to guarantee a substantial outcome. So let me proceed in the same procedure as last year, as every year, and let me contribute just a small personal remark on the general subject of this conference. First of all, I have to apologize for a remark I made last year. Last year, I told the honorable delegates in 2011 about my experiences I made in 1986. 1986, the 26th of April, when the nuclear power station exploded in Chernobyl. And the feelings I had 25 years later, when a comparable catastrophe appeared in Fukushima. The feeling I had could be described by the French expression déjà vu, because I had seen all that suffering, narrow-minded, arguing nuclear company managers and politicians, and the helpless rage of victims 25 years before, and now, a generation later, we have more than 400 nuclear power stations all over the world, and we, and above all, the Japanese people had to live the same horror again. The lesson I proposed was to learn that progress is obviously very slow, a very slow process, as slow as a snail, escargot, Schnecke. In May 2011, nobody could imagine that 6 months later, a conservative government would just have cancelled the red-green exit policy, would consider Fukushima as a turning point, and would change its pro-nuclear policy into an exit policy they always had condemned before. That's the moment I have to correct myself. Progress is not always moving as slowly as a snail, but sometimes moves in great leap forward. In my lifetime, I became witness of such an abrupt change in 1989, when the population of the former GDR, German Democratic Republic, launched the first successful democratic revolution in German history. As a consequence, those who want to make things change need, on the one hand, the condition of marathon man and a lot of creativity to push that kind of a snail forward. On the other hand, they should be prepared, as the Chinese say, to ride the tiger when things get in an abrupt way. For both, you need power, patience, and tenacity. Okay, before I lose myself in images and flowery, I'll try to be at least a little bit more concrete. The summit of the Millennium Development Goals in September 2010 defined the 7th goal as follows: ensure environmental sustainability. That means, I quote, to integrate the principles of sustainable development into country policies and programs and reverse the loss of environmental resources. After building bridges in 2009, caring for climate in 2010, after the discussion of new Millennium Goals in 2011, you will work this year on sustainability and equity, a better future for all. Wow. This is really a mountain of a complex and serious and difficult subject. You borrowed from the Human Development Report 2011. But you are right. There are no simple questions in facing the challenges of global politics, and the key concepts are linked to each other. We know that environmental degradation, pollution, intensifies social inequality, and vice versa. The contrary is correct too. Inequalities, social inequalities, amplify environmental degradation. So, if you want to discuss perspective of human development, you will have to focus on this intersection between environmental sustainability and social equity. Ladies and gentlemen, your conference seems to me a marvelous answer to the global political challenges, but also to the individual challenges. You will come together, discussing, and thereby you will develop all the skills and competences necessary to overcome global problems: mutual understanding, open-mindedness, tolerance, creativity. And by the way, I saw you dancing yesterday, and we saw this wonderful film this morning. Moving like this will help you to train for the long run, which is changing the world. Those who have developed and discussed resolutions in multicultural groups, those who have worked out transnational solutions, will never believe in political demagogues preaching nationalism as a way out of globalization. Your conference, hopefully, will contribute to a larger awareness of the importance of global ecological and social issues. In other words, global problems need global politics, regional problems need regional politics, but both need local action. In this context, that your conference gives me hope, there will be still enough young, committed young people having the courage to take the burden of complex problems on their shoulders in order to find complex solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, dear guests, for coming and for sharing this burden with us during the 3 days to come. I'm deeply grateful to all the students participating in the preparation team. Your admirable commitment, your perseverance was and still is outstanding. You spent hundreds of hours to organize this annual conference in Rostock. And this committee is Malte Höbner, Housing; Josefina Wenke, Deputy Secretary; Hanne Knauf, Conference Staff; Evgenia Barnett, Press; Johanna Katharina Möller, Press; Marie Lisson, Catering; Lukas Leitch, Conference Manager; Katharina Nack, Catering Staff; Laura Klettke, Catering; Tina Brüsehaber, Housing; Franziska Weid, Conference Manager; Wiebke Kuhlmann, Secretary; Marc Lukas Möller, Marketing; Matthias Breitkopf, MUN Coordinator; Katharina Stephan, Marketing; Oliver Hartwig, Secretary General; Sue Yi, Conference Staff; Anna Kondratienko, Pornak, Technical Staff; Johannes Kuhlmeier, Catering Staff; Adriana Evers, Secretary; Nicole Mager, Secretary; Marie-Louise Van, Secretary; Vanessa Seifert, Press; Kevin Douche, Catering. I would like you now to give a great hand. Would you please give a warm hand to the preparation team of the Model United Nations. Thank you. All this never would have come true without the indefatigable energy, the organizational ideas of one colleague who had inspired the preparation team as a mentor, who had lived all the ups and downs with her students. Everybody knows I'm talking about Mrs. Regine Koch. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm hand to Mrs. Regine Koch. Honorable chairs and delegates, dear colleagues and guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I hope you will really enjoy your stay in Rostock, that the debates will give you a better understanding of each other, that you will make lots of friends. I saw you already started. That you have a wonderful party after tomorrow, that after these days of hot discussions, you will sum up that these days were worthwhile coming to Rostock. Thank you, my best wishes to this conference, and good luck to you all.